All right, guys, today we are talking about 1 and 2 step equations. First thing I want you to do is open up your ISN and in your table of contents title it 1 and 2 step equations. And then we will go ahead and get started. So the major difference between an expression and equation is that an expression does not have an equal sign and an equation does. So far we've been talking about variables and expressions, and you substituted in different values, things like that, to find to evaluate the expression. And now you're going to solve an equation and solve for a given variable. The solution to an equation is any value that makes the equation true, meaning you can plug it back in and it gives you a true statement. Ideally, you want to isolate the variable, so you're going to use reverse order of operations. Looking at this first example, what's in the way of the variable is this 3, so you're going to use inverse operations. I'm going to subtract 3 on both sides. That would give you 6c equals 42. And then this 6c next to each other, that's multiplying, so you're going to divide on both sides, and we get that c equals 7. Okay. Example 2. What's in the way of your a is this 11 here. Because a is positive, you want to take the opposite, so I'm going to subtract 11 on both sides. What you do to one side, you have to do to the other. Those are your equality properties, so you have to keep the equation equal. So that gives us negative a equals negative 34. And what's important here is to remember that you cannot have a negative variable. So if I switch the sign on one side, I've got to switch it on the other. Essentially, you are multiplying by negative 1 on either side, but just make a little note over here, no negative variables. If you leave a variable negative on your homework or a test, it will be marked wrong. Okay, moving on to number 5, because clearly I don't know how to number. I'm going to say baby brain is a real thing. You have 2/3 b equals 12. Because this is a fraction, the way you get rid of a fraction is to multiply by the reciprocal, meaning you're going to flip the fraction over. And because of your multiplication property of equality, what you multiply on one side, you multiply on the other. So this would give you b equals 36 over 2, or b equals 18. Now it doesn't matter if you say 12 divided by 2 is 6, and 6 times 3 is 18, or 12 times 3 is 36 divided by 2 is 18. Either way works. Okay. Number 6, you have r over negative 4. Remember, this fraction bar means division. So because this was divided by negative 4, you are going to multiply on both sides by negative 4. And r equals negative 60. Okay, and then just as a quick reminder for you, when you have fractions, I know no one likes fractions, myself included. So an easy way to solve equations that have fractions is to get rid of them. The way you do that is you're going to look at all of your terms and determine a common denominator. So here I have 3, 1, and 4. I'm going to use 12. So I'm going to multiply every single term by 12 before I even start to solve. So 12 times 2 is 24. This becomes 24 over 3 plus 12y equals 12 over 4. If you simplify those fractions, you have 8 plus 12y equals 3. And then this is a lot prettier than this, and you've gotten rid of all of the fractions and you solve it just like you normally would. So I'm going to subtract 8 first. I get 12y equals negative 5, and then I'm going to divide by 12. Anything that has a fraction as an answer, just leave it. You don't have to change it to a decimal unless you're absolutely dying to. Okay, the second, number 7, just is a little bit backwards, but the process is the same. I'm going to add 11 to both sides first. I get 24 equals negative 8y I'm going to divide by -8, and you get y equals -3. Okay? All right, the next part of this just talks about the properties of equality. It's a quick overview. All this is saying is what you add to one side, you add to the other. What you subtract from one side, you subtract from the other. What you multiply on one side, multiply the other. What you divide on one side, you divide on the other, and so forth. Okay? So on your homework, you're going to have some examples that say solve each equation and justify with your properties of equality. So all that means is say what you do in each step. So this example that we just did, you have, you're going to add 11 on both sides. This is going to be the addition property of equality. I just put the symbol there and then write the word equality. Then you have, what, 24 equals -8y. So I'm going to divide by -8. And this would be your division property of equality. So just identifying which property you're using at each step. Okay? I'm not going to do it for this one because I think you get the idea. All right, the last two are just some word problems. The first one says an ostrich that is 108 inches tall is 20 inches taller than 4 times the height of a kiwi. Kiwi's a bird, not a fruit, by the way. What is the height of the kiwi in inches? First thing you want to do is identify what they're asking for. They want the height of the kiwi, so I'm going to say K equals height of the kiwi. Okay. And then you have to write your equation, put it all together. Here we're going to use the English to algebra. You have this 20 inches taller than. Remember, that's one of those phrases that causes you to switch your words. So this becomes 4K plus 20 equals 108. Okay? And then once you have your equation written, that's the most difficult part. All you have to do is solve from here. So you get 4K equals 88, divide by 4, and K equals 22 inches. So the kiwi is 22 inches tall. Okay? And question 10, Michaela pays her cell phone provider $49.95 per month for 500 minutes. Any additional minutes used cost 15 cents each. In June, her phone bill is $61.20. How many additional minutes did she use? So I'm going to use A for additional minutes. Remember, you want to identify your variable, figure out what they're asking you. Okay, and I know that each minute used is 15 cents. So I'm going to say 0.15A plus the $49.95 because she has to pay that amount for the 500 minutes, and then she's paying anything over that 15 cents each. Her total bill was $61.20. You have 49, so I'm going to subtract $49.95 using the subtraction property of equality, and then I have 0.15, oh, A, not X, whoops, equals 11.25, divide by 0.15, and A equals 75 minutes. I don't care what variable you decide to use. If you like X way better than anything else, you use that. Just make sure you are identifying it. Now, I don't mind if you use a calculator on these. However, just using InSolve is not showing me that you understand the process. You can use it to help you with the math, but if you do not have work shown, you do not get credit. Okay? That's the end of your notes for today. Go ahead and glue that into your notebook. And then after Miss Flint passes out your homework for tonight, I have another video to show you. I'm going to do just a couple of examples to answer a couple questions that usually come up.